Ah. Oh. You miss the Skyblock streams, man, sir? Go watch Mara. You'll feel better about yourself when you see him play. What? What'd I do? Did you really? Come play Pet Sim. What do you mean leaking real name isn't Poggers? Yay, that means you get to donate to me. That's what that means, right? Sorry. Wait, you leaked your name? What message? What are you talking about? Oh, that's you. I completely forgot. I completely forgot about that. Holy shit. You got a job that pays, or that has a lot of hours. Something. That's just a lie. Quit lying. No need to lie, Cian. I mean, shit. I could, I don't know what servers are good for that, though. Like, I couldn't give you suggestions. Because I've never bought shit like that. You could not advertise in a big server. But you sure? Like, are you sure you're like, I want to fully quit forever? Alright, bye-bye. Anyway, how are you doing, Nibo? I'm doing good. I don't even know what I got last night. Fuck it. Down. Give me a second.
Harley Dilly and Harley Dilly 2.0 were channels created by a teenage boy from Ohio named
this wildebeest fun room, and I absolutely love looking at these pictures. It makes me so happy. I love going through all the pictures and videos on my phone that I have of Will and me. It just brings me a lot of joy and happiness, and I don't know, just reminds me of all the great memories that we've shared together.
Harley Dilly and Harley Dilly 2.0 were channels created by a teenage boy from Ohio named Harley Dilly.
What's up, boys? It's your boy, Harley Dilly.
These pages were a hub for the teenager to upload video gaming content around the Madden series and the trading card game that was ancillary to this franchise. But Harley's content isn't what makes him notable. It's the bizarre circumstances surrounding the abandonment of his channel. See, Harley abruptly vanished, and his channel has been left untouched since December of 2019. In what would eventually become a law enforcement investigation and an alleged conspiracy plot that swept the online true crime sleuth community into a frenzy, this is the story of Harley Dilly. Let's begin with a bit of personal life details surrounding Harley. It's said that he has some issues as a teenager. 14-year-old Harley Dilly from Port Clinton, Ohio, his life revolved around gaming. According to his mother, Heather Dilly, her son had a video game addiction. Gaming would cause turmoil in the Dilly house frequently. Heather revealed in an interview that at one point the family had become concerned with this perceived addiction and they took away Harley's games, resulting in him throwing a particularly angry fit that caused the police to be called. Outbursts such as this were said to have been somewhat common from Harley. The young gamer suffered behavioral issues and was diagnosed with Asperger's when he was a young boy. As a child, he would get in trouble at school as well and had to regularly attend counseling for his behavioral issues. As a teenage gamer, Madden football in particular became an outlet for Harley to channel out pent-up energy. He found the competition in these games too enticing to put down. According to Harley's mother, as his skills in Madden and other games grew, Harley expressed that he wanted to become a full-time gamer and online gaming influencer. He had aspirations to be a YouTube content creator or a streamer, perhaps. Make that money, you know what I'm saying? Harley's personality would become completely defined by his affinity for gaming and online content creation. His passion for it so obvious to his peers that Harley was voted most likely to become a YouTuber in his high school yearbook once. He would regularly upload gaming videos and also these vlog-style videos where he could be seen complaining about his parents. All this content would be posted to the Harley Dilly channel. Yeah, in addition to his gaming content, as I just mentioned, he would sometimes discuss issues in his personal life in detail, family drama notably. One notable video in this regard was published in October of 2018, and it has him discussing an altercation with his mother, which ended up with the police getting called, similar to a scenario we talked about earlier.
Hey guys, what's up? It is Harley Dilly. Probably one of my worst days of my life. So basically, I was at school and I was science test. I finished it and my computer says 1% battery left. So I get to the next class and I put it on charger as quick as possible, but it didn't charge. None of the computers would take a charge. So I took it back and I had to fill out a complaint, and that's one of the most expensive parts of the computer. And my mom said she's not paying anything. That's when I got home. So then my mom wanted me to go with her to go get a friend, and I said I don't want to. I have work to do, so I want to go home. She said no. We argued for about a good 5 minutes. Then she snapped. She said she was gonna call police, and she said she already did. She said, "Who do you think that first call was to?" And she said it was the police.
Harley seemed rather upset with his life circumstances, to say the least. Now, sometime around this upload, Harley Dilly would create a new YouTube channel called Harley Dilly 2.0. His reasoning for doing so is stated in the channel's description. Quote, "This is my main channel, but temporarily named because other channel is getting deleted in 2 years." And I gotta be honest, I don't exactly know what Harley means here. Maybe this was like a secret channel that his parents couldn't know about. I really have no idea. I don't know if his first channel was terminated or what, but his explanation just doesn't make any sense. If that makes sense to you, will you please tell me what that means in the comments? So from August of 2019, Harley Dilly would post to the Harley Dilly 2.0 YouTube channel. And after creating this channel, he seemed full of energy and was excited for the future, stating in one video that the depression was over.
Oh boy, the depression is over.
In his first video, he would declare that his main goal would be to reach 1,000 subscribers within the next 2 years.
But now we are on to bigger, new things. And that means that this Harley Dilly YouTube channel, the goal is to reach 1,000 subs in the next 2 years.
Most of the content on this channel would consist of gaming videos with him playing games revolving around Madden, particularly Madden Mobile, because apparently his family had taken away all of his gaming consoles for bad behavior, and the phone
You
version
should go to one of those Twitter bot things. There's a guy said, "Yo, I need help with my essay," and there's a essay person that messaged him, said, "I sent you a DM. Like, what you need?" He's like, "I need a 50-page essay, 10,000 words in the next 10 minutes," and the bot told him to kill himself.
of Madden was all that he had left. Speaking of Harley's parents, they have shared their thoughts regarding Harley's online presence on occasion. And unsurprisingly, they really weren't all too thrilled, at least according to a criminal justice update posted by the Attorney General's office in Ohio. They said that Harley was just super careless in the way that he published content, like he would be filming a vlog update video while taking a bath, naked, which I guess the kid didn't realize why that might be a problem. It's also claimed that Harley would post his address and phone number on social media, which is bad for a variety of reasons, and that coupled with the bathtub thing, I mean, I get it, parents. All this aside, though, as Harley grew older, problems only worsened in his personal, social, and family life. In school, Harley continued to get into trouble. According to his mother, he was at one point suspended from school for allegedly slapping a student, which would lead to him getting an assault charge. According to his mother, Heather, when Harley finally returned to school, he would go on to hit another kid.
But he also got in trouble at school. He got OSS for slapping a kid in school, and he has assault charges. In fact, we just got the papers Saturday. I don't even know what day it is. And he never thought that he would get that. Oh, they're not going to do anything. They didn't do anything. You know, so we kept telling him, no, you're going to end up in DH if you don't change your ways. But he don't believe it. He's not accepting that this is a consequence. Because then he got in trouble after he went back from OSS. It was the next week sometime. He got in trouble again for kicking a boy in the balls.
Harley would also have more altercations with his parents, disputes that reportedly would result in him running away to stay with friends. The only reasonably stable element of Harley's life at this point was his YouTube channel. He continued to post through 2019, and his page seemed like the only place that we truly see Harley happy. He loved making content despite his family woes, school drama. Harley found a way to put a smile on his face when the camera was on and the gameplay was rolling. So, with this being his only respite from the chaos that was his life at the time, why did he stop uploading? Why does the Harley Dilly 2.0 channel sit abandoned? Harley's last YouTube upload would be published on December 10th of 2019. It was Madden mobile gameplay with commentary. Nothing out of the ordinary.
The only game I watched of week 14 was the Browns, and then I watched a little bit of the Chiefs versus Patriots. Boom, Austin Eckler with the touchdown. Well, that took
That's
a while to score a touchdown with him. Not saying that it's his fault.
A little over a week later, a mysterious set of circumstances would play out that had the internet and law enforcement up in a frenzy looking for answers, as Harley would go missing. According to reports, on Friday, December 20th, 2019, Harley woke up and reluctantly went to school after insisting to his parents that he should be allowed to stay home for the day. His parents wouldn't budge, as it was the last day of school before Christmas break, and they thought, Harley, you really just need to go. I mean, you're about to get a vacation anyways. So later, Harley Dilly would be spotted on a neighborhood surveillance camera heading to the direction of his school. However, Harley would never make it to his destination on this day. He seemingly vanished from the face of the earth and would never be seen alive again. The school day would come to an end, and Harley never comes home. His father would report his son missing to the authorities on the following day, on December 21st at 11:50 p.m. Now, the reasoning given that they waited for such a long time in between the disappearance and the report is apparently because they were used to Harley running away and thought that this was just another one of those circumstances. Maybe he was staying with a friend. But after an entire day had passed, they figured that wasn't the case and started to actually get worried that something bad had happened to Harley. Yeah, it is a little bit suspicious and kind of weird. I mean, many of you out there probably grew up in a house where that wouldn't be the case, but whatever. On December 22nd, 2019, police began searching a 150-acre area around where Harley was last spotted, hoping for a miracle. Given Harley Dilly's history for running away, Port Clinton police didn't initially suspect foul play. They thought it was just a missing child case. Being treated as a runaway child case of sorts, on Christmas Eve, the investigation would escalate as the local authorities would issue a missing child advisory. The search would go nationwide on December 27th. This story would hit the internet as well, and internet sleuths from around the world would begin to pry into the details of the case and the history of Harley Dilly's online presence. These sleuths began to become suspicious of his mother. Internet detectives soon took to social media to accuse Harley Dilly of murdering her own son, sourcing interviews that she had previously participated in with the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation, claiming she was lying in these interviews about everything. They also found an old stream that Harley did where he was complaining about being locked out of his house, and this would be used as evidence against Heather Dilly by these conspiracy theorists.
And I went to talk to my assistant principal because he's like the only person I can really trust in this. So I went to talk to him, and he told me that my mom never called the police. So she lied to me to get me scared, and she locked me out of the house. So right now I'm outside. Yep, the house is locked. It is 3:30. I haven't ate anything.
They claim that she was a neglectful mother, or at the worst, killed him. Real-world police, they didn't share the suspicion that the internet sleuths had, though, surprisingly. The police had actually done somewhat of an investigation on the parents already, even having cadaver dogs go into their house and look around for Harley. They didn't treat them as suspects at all. They had been totally ruled out. Heather was also spearheading a social media effort at the time to find her son, and even posted a video to Facebook urging people to help find Harley.
Fine, you all want to see what I look like when I'm not taking my meds to help. You want to know what it's like to have a son missing. It hurts. It makes you feel like you can't go on, but you have to go on. You don't understand. You seriously don't know what it feels like. Stop bashing my family. Harley, please come home. Please come home.
Absent.
Let him go. Please. I want him home. I'm tired of crying. I'm tired of being strong when I can't be. You guys are such monsters.
A guilty party could do something like this, I guess, but it's unlikely. You know, people were saying she was pulling a Christopher Watts move, if you know what I'm saying. Despite the mother's visible distress regarding this situation, online sleuths continue to accuse her of murder and other serious crimes, you know, maybe kidnapping or child trafficking. The police would catch wind of these armchair amateurs and would comment, quote, "It's unbelievable," Chief Hickman said. "I never really looked at it that way until I started following other cases of people who went missing. Some of the same people commenting on Harley were on those pages. So I don't know if they just sit at home and think up conspiracies. I don't understand it." An award of nearly $20,000 was offered to anyone who knew about where Harley was or what could have happened to him. And this reward would eventually help in police getting a break. On January 13th of 2020, a tip would come in that led to police performing a search of an unoccupied summer home that was across the street from the Dilly residence. There, they would make an astonishing discovery, as Harley's coat and his glasses were found on the second floor of the property on the ground. Knowing he could likely be somewhere at the house, they performed a hurriedly yet thorough search of the entire place, and during this final scrying effort, Harley Dilly's body was found. The location of the body baffled all in attendance, as his remains were lodged in the chimney of the home. Looked pretty sus at first, but after thinking things over, police determined that there was still no foul play. They presented the following explanation for Harley's untimely death. Harley Dilly left his house that morning and never had any intent to go to school. Rather, what he was going to do was find a place that he could camp out for the day and simply return after school was out, so it looked like he went without ever having to go. It was cold outside that day, so Harley needed somewhere somewhat warm to stay in, and that's when he got the idea to stay at this vacant summer home. This house actually has an antenna pole outside of it that is climbable, and they said that Harley climbed up this pole, scaled up it, and then basically tried to enter the house through the chimney, fell through, and got stuck. In the process of trying to get himself loose, Harley would lose his jacket and his glasses, which fell down and emptied out through the bottom of the chimney. He was never able to free himself, and Harley died from asphyxiation, lodged in the flue. Many in the local community were satisfied with this explanation, and Harley's death was deemed a freak accident of sorts, a tragedy nonetheless. But even with his body found and the family officially cleared, the online mob still raged, and they continued to try to pin the mother as being responsible, or went as far as alleging that the cops were trying to cover for them. Something that really fueled the conspiracy fires took the form of this picture, which showed Harley's coat hanging from atop of a door in the same house where Harley's body was found. This photo is somewhat confusing, as if Harley Dilly died in the chimney flue, then how did his coat get on the door? Well, it was later explained that during evidence collection and photography, one of the detectives put this, coat up on the door. Were the police lying, and was this coat put up there by whoever killed Harley or whoever had trafficked him? Well, and credit to the conspiracy theorists, there was something wrong about this, but it's not in the way that they were suggesting. The police had actually fucked up in the process of taking evidence, and somebody had moved the jacket up to this spot on this door, and a photo was taken of that as well, which made it seem conflicting to the story that they presented. Basically, somebody moved some evidence that they weren't supposed to move and took a photo that they shouldn't have taken. This lapse caught the police department off guard as the rookie mistake got published online. Quote, "The mistake that's going to haunt me for the rest of my life is we hung the coat on that door," Chief Hickman said. "We should have blocked the windows during the search, but that's hindsight." When police confirmed that they were in fact the ones who put the coat above the door, the ferocious true crime addicts didn't believe their story. This virtual aggression manifested into the real world as protesters and demonstrators would flock around Port Clinton all through this investigation and even after the body had been found. They criticized the job authorities were doing and demanded the cops bring in the FBI and National Center for Exploited and Missing Children. In all reality, both entities had been a part of this investigation for weeks at that point. Some protesters even got arrested for trespassing onto the property where Harley was found dead. The online sleuths would later create a petition on change.org for the arrest of Harley's parents, citing negligence. This petition got over 40,000 signatures. Despite a concluded investigation and official documents that exonerated the parents from any wrongdoing, people on the internet still believe that Harley Dilley's parents were responsible for his death to this day. There are some elements behind his disappearance that are somewhat suspicious, but I think if you piece together the backstory of Harley and his troubles at home, I think it is certainly possible for a kid to try to climb up an antenna tower and camp out into a house. Naturally, Harley Dilley's channel now remains as an abandoned YouTube channel, and in case you were wondering, that's how it happened. That was the story of Harley Dilley.
Ew.
It's always unsettling when you discover an abandoned YouTube channel. Finding a page that was once full of life and activity sitting dormant and forlorn. It always makes you wonder what became of the creator. The answer isn't always clear at first. Now, most of the time these folks decided YouTube just wasn't for them and they moved on to greener pastures. But in a handful of cases, like Kenny Veach, for example, and the next abandoned channel that we're discussing, their final video is directly related to the reason of the untimely abandonment. Which brings us to the story of Hobstobe, the train surfing YouTuber who met an unfortunate demise. James, or Jim William Stobie, aka Stobe the Hobo or Hobstobe, was born October 23, 1984. James would join the U.S. Coast Guard and serve 4 years. He would be honorably discharged. In addition to being a military veteran, Stobie was a veteran train hopper as well, and had been doing this for 10 years at the time of his channel's creation. During his ventures, he would document his escapades in what was more or less a guerrilla filmmaking style, showcasing his travels from train to train across the country.
Greetings, viewers. Stobe Cold Steve Austin here. Stobe the Hobo, whatever. Basically, little update here. This is, first of all, this is near Lake McConaughey, Nebraska. And this line here, for the rail fans in the audience, this is the UP Powder River Basin connector line from North Platte and the big, overland main line, Chicago to Oakland line. This is where the coal comes down out of the mines. We got double tracks. So this way you've got North Platte, and then that way is the mines. There's tons of trains through here.
These rail riding ventures would be uploaded to his YouTube channel, which was created on February 15th, 2012. His first video would debut 3 days later. In the video, the 27-year-old Stobe would introduce himself as a regular guy who just needed to get from place to place.
Hello, my name is Jim Stobie. Let me tell you a little about myself before we get to our main topic. I'm 27 years old, and my age, I've kind of come to a point where when I travel, I want to travel in style, I want to get there fast, and I want to feel very comfortable. And so therefore this new method is something I will now showcase to you.
Instead of using more conventional methods, Jim would convey that he had a different approach, train hopping.
The method of travel I plan on using is known as cargo freight train riding.
His first video acted as a tutorial of sorts, showcasing what items you bring when you're train hopping and the procedure that you use from going to train as safe as possible.
I will now detail the various accoutrements I will be bringing along with me on this trip. A reasonably warm sleeping bag, a crude and yet fashionably colored pack. A comfortable one-piece fleece jumpsuit to be worn underneath this one-piece cotton jumpsuit. And while this one-piece cotton jumpsuit does come off as a bit crude and forlorn,
First off, I have a friend. Why you're here saying stupid shit like that?
might I add that very many famous movie stars and musicians have worn this exact outfit.
Now, many might romanticize train hopping, but in reality, it's a dirty, rugged way to travel, and is incredibly dangerous no matter how careful you are. Jim tried his best to be as cautious as possible in his videos, but nonetheless, the threat of death was always there. Stobie told the Daily Dot in 2016, quote, "I've tried a lot of ways to get attention as an artist. This seems to be the only one that people notice. I'm really disappointed with modern boring life in the United States and the fact that traveling basically requires a personal vehicle these days. I only make YouTube videos that are original content, and this is a way to do that with the total glut of material on YouTube these days." He would also speak to the Daily Dot about the dangers of train hopping, saying, quote, "Trying to get on or off at high speed or with too much alcohol in my system. A specific instance would be dismounting while fatigued or blitzed, wiping out and watching a wheel go 2 inches from my face. The man apparently almost falling off and getting hit by the train's wheel." Many believe that Jim was some sort of homeless man given the name of his channel, but in fact he had his own apartment and had many other talents that could bring him money. Jim was an accomplished piano player and scored music for the background of his videos. Not to mention he was in the military, meaning that he likely got some benefits. Throughout his ventures, Stobie would travel through the state of Illinois, the cities of Toledo, Fargo, and Jacksonville, and other cities around the country. He also traveled to Indonesia, as well as hitchhiked to Denver on July 4th to see fireworks there. As the channel gained traction, Stobie would pitch the idea for fans of his content to fund his travels. That way, he could provide even more content for viewers to enjoy.
Let's talk about the costs of doing one of the trips I do for a minute. I'd like to start by saying any voyage, whether you're going to Mars with Elon Musk or traveling by cargo train, requires a budget. Unless you want to eat dumpster food and drink tap water for an entire month, you're gonna need money for food, beer, an occasional hotel, and then just some extra cash for a bus ticket if you get stranded or a trespass ticket. Any number of things.
He would also include Patreon incentives for donators. From 2012 to 2017, Stobie would regularly upload his adventurous thrill rides to his channel. Almost 40 episodes were published. His videos had something of a nostalgic feel to them. They were very lo-fi in quality, and it was almost as if, you were watching a guy LARP as like a Great Depression era train hopper slash panhandling. It was a way to see a part of America that you really don't see normally. The tracks and the area around that. Jim had other YouTube plans as he wanted to create a channel where he was stationary in it. He admitted that he had ideas for a commentary channel that he would call Stobe Attack, where he commentated on current events and news stories that popped up. But sadly, Stobe would never get to partake in this second channel, as activities on the first would lead to his demise. One of Jim's last train ride adventures would be uploaded to YouTube on November 6, 2017, in which he would jump on a train in Wendover, Wyoming. In the video, you could see the type of risks he routinely took. A precarious stunt with a confident man moving with the expertise of a 10-year train hopping veteran.
Careful till I'm in front. Up here. Careful. Okay. It's not great. This is not great, but it'll work. I hope.
Sadly, though, shortly after this video, Stobie would be involved in a terrible mistake that would cost him his life. An unlisted video published to his YouTube channel would show Jim in the Baltimore area. He was talking about avoiding rain and apparently was about to perpetrate a train hop.
This train actually goes all the way to Selkirk. This is the 410. But I mean, the rain. This is, forget it. We got heavy rains going on, which I'm not into.
Now, it's never actually been officially concluded how Stobe really died, but on November 8th of 2017, Hobe Stobe was found dead in Baltimore, Maryland, around some train tracks. Apparently, he had fallen off of an overpass onto the tracks below. The man was dead at only 33 years old. Stobe's death would lead to a lot of confusion online, as many couldn't fathom a veteran train hopper like him making what they saw as a rookie mistake. There were many conspiracy theories surrounding his death, but it was pretty clear that Stobe had either been hit by a train or had fallen while trying to hop on one. His body was identified due to his fingerprints that were put into the database when he was in the military. Stobe's obituary would read, quote, "To some, he will become a legend through his life's work, and to others, he will be fondly remembered solely for his quirky yet lovable self, as evidenced by his humor, fierce wit, compassion, deadpan delivery, solicited and unsolicited commentary on just about anything, unbridled passion for unconventional living, mad piano skills, the enormous talent that he generously shared with all the lives he intersected with, and countless other things. He will indeed be greatly missed by all who knew him, while leaving an irreparable gaping hole in the hearts, minds, and souls of his family." Around the time of his final upload, Stobe had close to 11,000 subscribers. He now has 56,600 to this day. His channel remains abandoned. She seemed happy, excited to entertain, and was adored by thousands of viewers. They called her the British Boxy. Colossal Carnage 08 was primed to be a massive success on YouTube. Her last upload was May 2nd of 2010. This is her story. In January of 2008, YouTuber Boxy Babe, or Boxy as she's most commonly known on the internet, set the web on fire after going viral, showcasing her bubbly charisma and personality.
Okay, hi, my name is Foxy, and I was just surfing on the internet like I do, and I happened across your video, and so I watched it, and you were talking about me, and so I just thought that I should make you this video to clear a couple things up.
There were many Boxy clones out there after the Queen went viral. You could say there was an untapped market for this type of creator. One British YouTuber, likely inspired by Boxy, would show up online about a year later, boasting a similar persona to Boxy. Her name was Chloe Shaw. Chloe created her YouTube channel Colossal Carnage 08 on December 18th, 2008, creating her first video July 24th, 2009, when she was 17 years old. About a year later, though, her career would be non-existent online, as there was something else behind this bubbly personality that was unnoticed by friends and family. This brace-faced teenager's first video consisted on her giving herself a scene kid makeover.
Hi there YouTube, my name's Colossal Carnage, and it's about 3 in the morning, and I'm bored out my brains, and I was talking to a friend, and he said, oh, you know, I'm about to log off, because I know you're probably going to do an all-nighter and can't bother to go back on the PS3, I'll give you something to do. And so now we have a little wager, because I'm, well, how people have the, like, I'm seen, I'm this, I'm hardcore, I'm goth, except I don't have one. I'm just whatever. I'm usually big baggy top from HMV and skinny jeans. Whatever works. And he said, I dare you to go scene and then post it on YouTube. So I thought, yeah, why not?
Videos like this back in the day got a lot of interaction, and her comments would be filled with pervs commenting on her looks. You know, it's a 17-year-old girl, guys. But Chloe fought back against these creeps and trolled them by making a jump scare video. While in school, Chloe was a successful theater kid who was attending the Birmingham Theater School. She was very witty and had great camera presence. Using her charisma, she was able to foster something of a fan base. Her mom says, quote, she had a lot of fans on YouTube, and they just liked her quirkiness and her sense of humor, unquote. Chloe seemed to have had an interesting rapport
I have
with her
too
fans,
many fans
as
on
she would
YouTube.
often tease them and joke about some of the people watching her, saying they were losers, insinuating that they needed to go outside and touch grass. One such video like this is, get the fuck off YouTube, losers.
Norm, presume your name is, I saw your rant video, and what I can take out of it is,
Too famous. 300 subs.
1, you're a fat ass, and 2, you need to lose weight. Not because, well, not because you might enjoy being a fat ass. I can't presume anyone would. It's obviously a health issue if you're getting convulsions. But yeah, lose some weight. It'll do you good. And people still won't take you seriously even when you do lose weight. Just heads up there. Keep doing this. So try that. It's probably for the best. You fat piece of shit.
Chloe would continue the trend of giving herself makeovers and uploading 2 a.m. rant videos where she would criticize popular YouTubers for some time. Doing this, she got close to 300 subscribers, and she was so happy about this, she uploaded a celebration video when she passed the mark.
L bitch, I had more. Ah ha ha. She had so many YouTube subscribers. She has the same as me.
Mark in September of 09.
Hello, it's me. And I have 300 subscribers. And I thought to celebrate I should do a Sparta thing. You know, as in the movie 300, yeah. I was too lazy for that and I found that I couldn't be asked. So instead I'm going to tell you about a dream I had.
She would also share with fans that theater school was going well and that she had aspirations to act in the future. She detailed how she got a role in a Shakespearean play, and she did a makeover on her channel showing fans what the character would look like.
I said in one of the videos, I think, that we're doing A Winter's Tale. Well, that's our Shakespeare project. And I have the role of Mamilius, who's a little boy, and Autolycus. Now, Autolycus
Damn, her
is a
forehead
con man, or in
big.
my case,
And
a
she
con woman.
British. Pick a struggle.
And the way we've set it is, well, the second half of the play is 20 years after the first half of the play. And we're doing it in the 40s and then the 60s. So I'm basically a hippie selling myself and drugs to everyone because it's all about free love and hippies and woo.
Around the time of the play that she was in premiering in 2009, Chloe would upload a video revealing that she had finally gotten her braces removed. She seemed happy and everything seemed to have been going great. She explains that she just got a guy's number that she was interested in and was hanging out with old friends and reconnecting with people from her past. Sadly though, things weren't as they seem, as Chloe had something of a mask on, you could say. After December of 2009, Chloe Shaw's uploads to the Colossal Carnage channel started slowing down. Her final upload would be on May 2nd of 2010. It seemed like any other upload from Chloe. She just was being bubbly and charismatic in the video, rambling about whatever she wanted.
Hello, it's been a while. Sorry about that. It's just I've been in the outdoors living life and I dyed my hair purple, which you can't really see here, but I'll put a photo in. Pow! So yes, that's how my hair actually looks now. But you can't see because it's so dark in my room, because I hang around in the dark to reflect the darkness of my... No, not really, I couldn't be an emo for shit. I hope you're all brilliant. This is going to be a quick video now, because I've got home and I'm flustered and I thought, do a video, do it now when you're excited and happy and not doing what you've done for the past 3 weeks, 2 months, possibly, and go, oh, just wait, don't worry, they won't mind, and I've ended up getting more subscribers, and I'm sorry, so hello new people, I love you all people, big hugs all around, I hope you can feel the love here. Yeah, I totally lost where I was going with that, but I'm quite comfortable hugging myself. There's no one else will. No, they will. If I drag them.
This video was titled Pal. It's the most viewed video on her channel, and that's because it was the last thing she ever uploaded before committing suicide. Reportedly 3 weeks after this video, Chloe Shaw made her way to the Sully Hill Park. She wouldn't leave the park alive. She was found later in the evening by a passing dog walker. Chloe's death was a shock to her family and
Ibo, why the fuck would you not tell me that? Fuck you. Leah, you wanna buy a, what is it? You wanna buy a rainbow, cat off me?
Many in her fan base. The exact reasoning behind her making this choice is unclear to this day, but there are some theories out there. There was a contingent of online trolls that despised these creators that were similar to Boxy and Chloe.
Prob not. That's fine. I got my second shiny rainbow police dog though. The police cat ain't better though. My second one. Both my accounts have one.
And some speculate that, well, she might have been receiving some serious trolling and bullying behind the scenes.
20
After
billion.
she had passed, Chloe's mother started to notice a bombardment of hate comments on her channel, with trolls vocalizing their pleasure about Chloe's death. Quote, LOL, she's dead. Ha ha ha, the bitch is dead. Chloe's mother would go on to say that it felt like she had been assaulted. Quote, it was like somebody had punched me. I was winded. I felt sick. It's inhuman because the lack of empathy is astonishing. I'd like to have one of them stand in front of me and I'd like to say, okay, you're not hiding behind your little name and you're not hiding behind your little cartoon picture. Say it to my face, because I don't think they could. The British authorities were notified about this mean-spirited activity, and they actually did set out to investigate the accounts posting these hateful comments. YouTube would speak out about it as well, and they tried to take action and ban as many accounts as they could. This small group of detractors would go away with time, and Chloe's channel remains up to this day. You can visit it now to get a glimpse into her life, and it acts as a memorial of sorts. Rest in peace to Chloe Shaw.
Geriatric?
An abandoned channel that sits at over 100,000 subscribers is Geriatric 1927. While the reason for Geriatric's disappearance from YouTube isn't super disturbing and is probably somewhat obvious, that doesn't mean his story isn't remarkable. Geriatric was truly one of the first successful senior content creators on this platform, and he used the final years of his life to impart his invaluable wisdom to the younger folks out there. This is the story of Geriatric 1927. Peter Oakley, aka Geriatric 1927, was an older YouTuber born August 20th, 1927, and he had quite the life with plenty of stories to tell. And in his old age, he discovered YouTube. The old man became addicted after finding these videos and decided that he would start uploading content of his own.
I got addicted to YouTube, and had a fascinating place to go to see all the wonderful videos that you young people have produced. So I thought I'd have a go at doing one myself.
He created a YouTube channel in August of 2006. His first few videos were essentially test footage with him tinkering about trying to figure out how this, YouTube thing works. And these videos in and of themselves were interesting to others on the platform. An old man on YouTube back in 2006 was like super rare.
There was a when they.
Why are none of the people in this video from like recent years? What's up with old YouTube?
Yeah, when they demobilized you, they kitted you out with a new set of clothes. Yeah, which of course was good. I had quite a nice suit and everything that went with it, shirt and tie and shoes and a suitcase. But the silliest thing was also a trilby hat. Well, there was no way a young man of 20 was going to wear a trilby hat. I think they must have bought a job lot in or something. But I don't know what happened to it, but actually I wish I'd got it now, because it would be so kitsch as to be, in present terminology, cool.
Yes, Geriatric's channel became a must-see sideshow of sorts in the best way possible. To highlight his popularity, it's said that at one point he had 4,700 notifications from YouTube in his email inbox, meaning he frequently received comments from curious viewers. Users wanted to know why an old man was making videos on YouTube. So Peter decided that he would tell his life story in a series called Telling It All. This would basically be an autobiographical series that went deep into his history. Some of his stories would involve childhood retellings about how he witnessed as a young teenager the bombings of his hometown by the Nazi Luftwaffe.
It was
Made it. I'm finding you a job and telling them you use Chat GPT.
It was one night, and there was an horrendous noise of bombs falling, and an enemy bomber had fortunately crossed our lane, dropping a series of bombs as it went. If it had gone down the lane, there would have been very much more chaos and casualties. It did hit one house, and of course with the nasty consequences that you would imagine happened. But we were quite lucky in that one of the bombs in the sequence did land at the end of our garden. At the end of our
He
garden,
got 20 billion coins. Don't listen to him, Mara.
That bomb didn't go off and was subsequently defused and taken away. If it had have gone off, I may, if we were in our shelter, I dare say we would have survived, but certainly if we were in the house, we would not.
He would reveal that he joined the British Army during World War II after being drafted. There he became a radar technician.
From the age of 16 and you're getting near to 18, you're waiting for that brown envelope to come through the door that's going to say you.
I just got added in my guild. At everyone. Or at member, everyone is forced to go buy a rainbow shiny police dog. If you don't, then you won't be able to stay in the clan. Good thing I made 2 of them.
You've conscripted, drafted, I suppose, in the American terminology, into the forces. And of course the envelope always comes.
Geriatric highlighted that these radar techs were crucial to the war effort, and mechanics were sworn to secrecy, taking oaths to protect information harvested from the enemy. He even claimed that if you leaked, you would get killed. He talked about how he met his wife and certain hobbies that he got into, such as motorcycles.
The college that handled the sort of work that I was involved in was in...
I'm gonna be pissed if this guy just died of natural causes. Don't put this old fucker on the list if he didn't do something atrocious.
Leicester, which is a town in the very centre of England, and it's there that I met my future wife. You've been dying for me to tell you that, haven't you?
Peter would become the first grandpa of YouTube, and his channel was a hit, taking off in the algorithm. Geriatric had risen up in subscriber count to the point where he was the most subscribed channel on YouTube. Yes, an old man. Geriatric also holds the record as the first YouTuber to reach 25,000 subscribers. He had a huge influence on the platform, and his work would go on to inspire other elderly creators to make content. Peter was pleased to see this, as the man had a goal of getting more old folks involved in the online world, so that the memories of his generation could be preserved digitally.
I bet he's a
Geriatric was
pedophile.
truly a trailblazer for senior citizen content creators. He's the one that got the ball rolling. He does not support Feature Man, though. Or, what's the other dude's name? Creepy Ed? Throughout his tenure as a YouTuber, Geriatric would upload 434 videos between 2006 and 2014. He would also set up a second channel that was purely dedicated to music called Geriatric 1927 Blues. Unfortunately, Peter's age would catch up to him, as in 2014 he would be diagnosed with an advanced stage of cancer that was untreatable. His final video would be published in February of 2014, and Peter passed away about a month later on March 23rd, 2014 at 86 years old. Although Peter's life was over, his channel continued to obtain interaction, as his account would hit the 100,000 subscriber milestone 9 years after his death in January of 2023. Peter Oakley is a YouTube legend in a variety of ways.
No, he
encouraged
isn't.
More
Fuck
people
this
to come
guy.
onto the platform, especially older ones. It's always a good idea to go back to the Geriatric channel and pay your respects, but that's Geriatric's story.
No, no, no. this might actually make me cry. Oh no. No. I know this guy. That's the reason. I've told y'all. My number one favorite video game of all time was Borderlands 2. And this guy was a Borderlands 2 YouTuber. I'ma spoil it, I don't care. Him and his friends were drunk driving, tried to drive a train or something. And they all died. Oh.
Yotslaya is a now abandoned YouTube channel once operated by a man named
Yodi Slaya? Man, fuck this guy.
Brian. It was a classic Let's Play style channel that attracted hundreds of thousands of viewers. They played Borderlands and other games, but the growth of this man's media career would come to a crashing halt one night when the YouTuber decided to make an ill-advised railroad crossing. This is the story of Yotslaya. Brian Joseph Rickard.
This guy's gonna piss me off. Yotslaya? He says his name in every video. How does he get the name wrong? He started the video saying, "What up, ladies and genitals? Yodi Slaya here."
AKA Yotslaya, was born December 17th, 1982, in Terre Haute, Indiana. Brian was a blue-collar young man who lived within rural
everybody in my guild keeps talking about it.
Indiana, where he would have two sons, named Matthew Wayne Rickard and Dawson Lee Rickard. In his spare time, he liked to be outdoors and hunting. But what he really loved was video gaming. It would be the catalyst for his YouTube channel's creation, Yotslaya, of course. Brian would start his channel on March 2nd of 2007, but it wasn't until September 8th of 2010 when he started uploading. The majority of Brian's content at the time was minimal, simple gameplay footage, but he would eventually evolve a bit and started using a microphone to record commentaries.
Alright boys and girls, Yotslaya here. Got a Modern Warfare 2 gameplay for you. Doing a special dual commentary. Got my brother-in-law here. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for everybody?
Hey fellas, this is Crown and Coke on the mic. We have a Ground War Team Deathmatch on D-Rail.
There was somebody there. I think your teammate actually killed him on the way up.
As a content creator, Brian grinded as much as possible, putting out daily uploads, playing a variety of games. Whenever he started playing Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies in March of 2011, things really changed for the up.
Alright boys and girls, Yotslaya here. Got you Black Ops Nazi Zombies gameplay. And this is the last 5 minutes of my level 58 run that I had. I epically
Because they
fell
were
here in a
shit.
minute. I was literally dozing off in the middle of this game.
Black Ops was the start point, Borderlands would be the explosion. After posting Borderlands content in October of 2012, his views shot up to receiving about 1 million per video, and his channel was growing exponentially. In addition to Borderlands and Black Ops content, Brian also posted Yotslaya vlogs, where he showcased himself hanging out with friends and family. Brian also streamed. On September 1st, 2012, Brian would in fact stream for 13 hours, 33 minutes, and 37 seconds in celebration of his 1,337th video, which spells out LEET if you don't know. Needless to say, Brian enjoyed his newfound career as a YouTuber. It allowed him to provide for his family in a way never before financially, and the fact that he could spend more time with his loved ones. Sadly though, this man would only get to exist as a popular content creator for a short time, as, well, his death was around the corner. On Wednesday, October 23rd, 2013, this 30-year-old YouTuber would
Pet Simulator. Fun to me. I'm not gonna lie, after I found out he passed away, I cried for an entire. That was the first time somebody had died that I ever cried over too.
Would make an ill-advised decision, as he and his friends, 20-year-old Ashley Pugh.
I mean, oh, it's not even that. It's just that, like I said, I've still been in like a like meh type of mood. I'll be real with y'all. I'm trying to lose weight. And so literally I'm doing it terribly though. I'm only eating like 300 calories a day. So
And 24-year-old Ryan Cook, they were joyriding around Virgo County, Indiana, while allegedly partaking in a few alcoholic beverages. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, there's been a lot of debate on.
not kidding, Nibo. Literally all I have during the day is my coffee and one scoop of the protein powder, and that's it.
Who was behind the wheel of the vehicle at the time of this encounter, but whoever it was, be it Brian or one of his friends, whoever was behind the wheel made the choice to try to beat an oncoming train at a railroad intersection. This foolish feat did not bode well for Brian and company, as the driver would fail the objective and the vehicle would collide with the massive locomotive, the train smashing into the side of the pickup truck that they were in. The
Kinda insensitive, Nibo.
collision would be so violent that it ejected Brian and Ashley from the vehicle. They would be pinned underneath it, all in the vehicle died. Before Brian's name was even announced to the public, fellow content creators had caught wind of the death, and they would make comments on social media regarding his passing. Condolences would be all over Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Brian's Yotzlaga channel is still considered one of the largest Borderlands 2 channels on YouTube, even without him uploading for close to 10 years. He's renowned as a YouTube legend, and his channel will remain abandoned.
I'm glad he didn't talk about the part where right after his death, the mom of his kids let the kids try to upload Borderlands content and like continue the legacy of the channel, and then and everybody on the internet shit on them. I appreciate Rooftop. Have a good one, my man. Sleep well.
On YouTube, there exists a channel by the name of Martin Het. It was created by an, at the time, British teenager of the same name back in '07. It used to be frequently updated by the creator, who posted various vlogs and re-upload clips of the British sitcom Coronation Street. However, this activity would cease on April 16, 2017, after the upload of what would be the channel's final video. After this upload, Martin Het's channel remains forsaken to this day, and the tragic circumstances surrounding its abandonment would make international news headlines. This is the tragic story of Martin Het. Martin Het was born on December 15, 1987 in Tameside, England, growing up happy with his mother and father. Martin had multiple siblings, including his
You can't relate, Nibo.
older brother, Dan Het, who is notable for being an award-winning digital artist and game developer. Martin has been described by many in his life as a natural-born entertainer, a class clown of sorts in school, and a social butterfly in his everything else that's not school, pretty much. He was always down to meet new people and try to get a laugh out of them. His penchant for amusing others would eventually lead him down the path of YouTube content creation, with him uploading various skits and comedy bits, and also re-uploads of Coronation Street throughout the years. When Martin was still a teenager, on August 29, 2007, he would create the Martin Het YouTube channel. His first video would be a trailer of sorts that was a dramatization consisting of multiple vlogs showing elements of his personal and social life. The piece titled Martin's Life Season 1 Trailer. This video was uploaded on September 3rd of 2007, and the next three pieces of content that Martin uploaded were in the same vein. Mainly, they were just highlight videos of Martin and his friends goofing about on camera, as well as performing skits and comedy acts. His uploads would be infrequent at this point, as there didn't really seem to be a purpose for the channel. Martin just didn't take it too seriously. He was uploading whatever at the time. However, the content uploaded to Martin's channel would begin to shift in 2012, with the bulk of the uploads consisting entirely of clips from a British soap opera called Coronation Street, which you'll soon find is Martin's favorite TV show of all time. Coronation Street, often referred to by fans as Corey, is one of the longest running television shows in history. A huge fan of the show, it would be through uploading clips from this sitcom that Martin would find his first shock of YouTube attention, as a cult following of Coronation Street fans would discover his channel and treated it as a niche fan page of sorts for the show. On December 1st, 2012, Martin would upload his most popular video to his channel, which consisted of a collection of one of Corey's main characters, Audrey Roberts, making her signature questioning sigh over and over again.
It's a bit late worrying about that, huh? You love it, don't you, huh? So what you gonna do, A wake-up call for what precisely?
Basically, Martin forming a highlight reel / meme edit out of love for the character. This video would go on to accumulate over 700,000 views and would solidify Martin's channel into a Coronation Street hub of sorts for super fans of the show. Every piece of content subsequently uploaded by Martin that had anything to do with this soap opera would get a decent amount of views from fellow fans. We're talking thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. Martin had intentionally or not created a community of people with similar interests. And considering the waning popularity of the show, it's 60 years old at this point, I'm sure fans appreciated his channel as a place where they could talk freely and laugh with others about their love for this piece of media. Martin, in his own way, had done thousands of online strangers across the internet a favor by freebooting these clips. I call it chaotic good copyright infringement. Now, outside of the internet, Martin's life was going pretty well. In 2013, the man's IRL career was jump-started after he managed to find employment as a PR manager for the Manchester-based business agency Rumpus. Even with traditional
British
employment,
people aren't
Martin
real.
still expressed himself creatively online and divulged more personal details about his personal life to fans. Martin would be open about the fact that he was gay, and he would from time to
I
time
was
share
gonna
photos
say, he
online
looks
showing
gay.
him attending LGBTQ events. And aside from his fanaticism for Coronation Street, Martin also began openly showcasing his standhood for Mariah Carey on YouTube, posting many clips and videos regarding the woman, solidifying the singer as his second most loved obsession, if you will. He got even more popular IRL, with the guy getting on game shows at one point, and in April of 2015, Martin would actually get an opportunity to meet Mariah Carey, and he ended up getting one of his t-shirts signed by the woman.
Sorry.
Yes, thanks to his YouTube channel's popularity with Coronation Street fans, Martin began to become somewhat famous IRL. As a result of him sparking the fan base, he was invited on several radio shows to discuss his peculiar affinity for Coronation Street, his love for the show getting so extreme that he actually got a tattoo of one of the characters' names on his body. That tattoo being in honor of Deidre Barlow, which was his favorite character apparently. In a radio interview, Martin would discuss that he was such a big fan of the show that his entire house was basically a museum or shrine dedicated to the soap opera.
How you doing, Martin?
I'm alright, thanks. How are you?
Is inner calf correct description of where it is?
Yes, yeah, in a car, yeah.
Inner calf, right. And give people an idea of the dimensions of your tattoo.
The dimensions, oh right, so it's just over half of my lower leg.
So you're a fan of Coronation Street then?
I'm a Coronation Street super fan, yes. My house is practically a Coronation Street museum.
In hilarious fashion, Martin would actually later appear on television on an episode of Tattoo Fixers, and what they did was basically pimp out his Deidre tattoo to make it a full portrait of the woman. He was all in with Coronation Street. Yes, in both the online and real world, Martin was thriving. He was able to express himself freely, had something of a fan base, a solid career in media brewing up, and an ever-expanding network and social circle. The future was looking like it couldn't be brighter for the young man. But of course, this is a video all about a...
Oh yeah. Why would I get why would I get the I get those nightmare orbs? Yeah. You have to sit inside the fucking thing. I'd rather roll eggs.
abandoned channels with disturbing backstories. So, what happened? Martin's last YouTube video would be published to his channel on April 16th of 2017. It was a meme-style edit video in which Martin showed Liverpool singer Heidi Raines providing the siren sound for an emergency vehicle. Martin didn't have time to publish any more content for the rest of this month, as after all, he was preparing for an Ariana Grande concert.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. No shot. Oh no. No. Oh no. I know where this is going.
That was to take place in Manchester in just a few weeks.
I gotta feel, the biggest celebrity I feel bad for is Ariana Grande. Because first off, she was on Nickelodeon. She worked with that pedophile, Dan Schneider. Made her do weird shit. And then she got into her career, and then fucking, the Manchester bombing happened. And then after she broke up with her, Mac Miller, R.I.P. the GOAT, he overdosed a couple weeks later. I feel terrible for her.
Yes, that Ariana Grande concert.
Moments from the end, this. Look to the left of the screen, the flash of the explosion, and then the boom. Inside the arena, this is what it was like.
Oh my god. What's going on? What just happened? What's going on?
What's going on in it?
Oh my god!
On Monday, May 22nd, 2017, prior to getting to the Grande show, Martin would attend a radio interview for BBC Radio 5 Live. He was invited to speak as a result of his online fame regarding Coronation Street and what he had done for the fandom. In many ways, this would serve as Martin's final address to the niche online fan base that he had fostered over the last decade. Sometime after 6 p.m., he would take a tram to Manchester with one of his friends, the men getting hyped for the show and listening to Ariana Grande's music on the way there. Martin would arrive at the show at 8:45 p.m. as Ariana Grande had already taken the stage. An estimated 14,200 fans were in attendance. Martin would meet his other friends at this concert, and they made their way to the front row where they watched and enjoyed the musical talent of one of the most notable pop singers in the world at the time. A bystander says, quote, "He was singing at the top of his voice, dancing without a care in the world. It was such a great time to be together." It's said that Martin had the time of his life at this show. He was dancing, there were people around him, he was just thrilled to be there in that moment. Now later in the night, as Ariana's set began to finish up, Martin would leave the arena stage around 10:28 p.m., winding up in the city room foyer where he laughed and joked with the arena security staff. One of the stewards reportedly witnessed Martin filming himself while enjoying this moment. It would later be said that the only reason that Martin was in the city room foyer is because he just happened to have striked up a conversation with somebody about Coronation Street of all things. Sadly though, the city room was about to be attacked. At 10:31 p.m., a nail bomb weighing more than 66 pounds was
Damn! That's how they doing it over there? 66 pounds? Damn!
Detonated in the city room by Islamic terrorist Salman Abedi. Apparently, Mr. Het was only 4 meters away from the explosion. Unfortunately for Martin, his body suffered multiple injuries. One injury included shrapnel to the neck, which would lead to his death. Martin was one of 22 victims from that.
Like, my thing is, like, I wouldn't be, like, as, like, Ariana Grande, I would feel guilty for the rest of my life, even though, you know, personally, I didn't do anything. I would feel like that was personally my fault forever. You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, it's my fault this happened.
That night, and Salman Abedi was also killed in the explosion. It was a bombing. The news of the explosion and the attack would take the media by storm, and as word was beginning to break out, Martin's mother and stepfather were the first relatives to arrive at the scene. Stuart Murray, Martin's stepdad, thought the worst. Quote, "I just thought, bloody hell, they must have hundreds of bodies laid out there on the football pitch. Are we going to have to walk around all these bodies to see if one of them is Martin?" At the same time, it was still early. I was thinking he's probably just gone AWOL. Martin, when he went out, traditionally went astray. He once phoned us saying, "I've fallen asleep on the train home to Stockport and woken up in Nottingham. What should I do?" He was always losing his phone. Sadly, this wasn't one of those cases. As the British authorities searched for the missing victims that attended the Ariana Grande concert, the police had to ask Martin's parents about any noticeable features on his body that could be used to identify him. And well, the feature they gave him was the Coronation Street tattoo. This would be used to help identify Martin. Martin's parents were beginning to give up hope as the search went on, and just as they were on their way back to the vehicle, that's when they were tapped on by police. A liaison officer would inform them that, unfortunately, Martin Het had passed away. He was killed in the explosion. Both the parents and the liaison officer broke down into tears during this instance. The rest of Martin's family, who were still at home waiting on the news of his whereabouts, were already being pestered by journalists as the news had leaked. They didn't even have official confirmation, and there were people trying to talk to them. Not the best situation. Well, after news broke around the world about the Manchester bombing and Martin Het's death, he would be celebrated by the media to the point where hashtag #BeMoreMartin was trending on social media, with people saying that we should all strive to be like Martin Het. His love for Coronation Street would be well known around the world, and support of Martin would be given by cast members of the show, both current and previous. Several even attended his funeral.
Aww.
In time, the media would move on from this tragedy, and the family continued to remember their son in their own ways. Martin's mother would complete a master's degree in counterterrorism. She would also...
What degree is that?
spearhead Martin's Law. The law would put in effect simple and effective methods that allow high-capacity businesses and events to remain protected against terrorism without the threat of it being cost-inducing. And I really like how Martin's stepdad paid respect. Martin's stepfather would later go on the Tattoo Fixer's television show that Martin had been on previously, and the stepfather would receive his own Deidre Barlow tattoo. Except it was actually a photo of Martin dressed up as Deidre. Martin Het's YouTube channel and Twitter account remain up to this day, and you can visit his channel to pay respects and get a glimpse of what this man was like in his life. An individual that made those around him smile, entertaining many, creating a niche online fan base. That is the story of Martin Het and his tragic passing. And well,
I still think the first one was the worst one. I'm gonna be real. Of this video that we're watching, I'm pretty sure the first. You even here for that?
What are some of the earliest crimes committed by YouTubers? Back in the OG era of YouTube, say 2005 to 2012, the media covering YouTube news wasn't really a thing. And this resulted in some pretty bizarre content creator crimes going underreported in the site's early days. And many of you guys missed out on some insane shit. This story is honestly one of the strangest that I've covered on the channel, and to be
I hope they cover the girl that made a video saying she was going to rob a bank and then came back with like $10,000 and immediately got arrested. Upload.
honest with you guys, I'm shocked that no one has properly dived into this case prior. It's the uneasy tale of July 4 Patriot, a political YouTuber whose calls for violent revolution and government upheaval got him in trouble with the law, eventually resulting in a nationwide manhunt and the guy being convicted for one of the sickest crimes imaginable. This is the July 4 Patriot story. Charles Allen Dyer was once a Marine who served in the infantry. From what has been written online, Charles claims to have had dual honorable.
If this guild pings me for guild announcements one more time, I lose my fucking mind. What now? Enchant power threshold for all current enchant game made by me. Y'all want it? Y'all want this?
Discharges. The man has also claimed to have served 1 year for the Stevens County Sheriff's Office in Oklahoma as well. Charles entered the Marines in 1998 at the age of 17. It's said that at the time he was completely in line with the military and dedicated to following orders. But in the late 2000s, he started to have questions about the policies in his country and grew paranoid about what he saw as corruption. Corruption surrounding the political landscape and America's leaders. Charles couldn't keep these grievances to himself, so in an effort to express these issues that he had with the government, he would set up his own YouTube channel called July 4 Patriot. On February 20th of 2019, the man would upload a video in which he asked his would-be viewers to stand up for their freedoms, claiming that the country was under distress and that the United States citizens had to stay informed in order to get out of this corrupted state.
Fellow American patriots, I come to you today to let you know that your government cannot overpower you, and that you as the people hold your own fate and your way of life in the palm of your hands. You are under the watchful eye of an ever-increasingly tyrannical government, but within that government lies patriots just like you.
The man likely fearing discharge if his views were known by higher-ups in the service. And in these videos, Dyer's patriotism would be on full display, with him laying out his ideologies and, of course, some revolutionary ideals akin to like the tree of liberty needs to be watered with the blood of patriots from time to time sort of things.
Patriots, I want to thank those of you across the country that reaffirmed your oath to the Constitution. In my mind, the 19th of April 2009 gives birth to a new hope across this country. Oath keepers from every corner of America pledge their lives to the defense of the Constitution and the Republic. These are patriots of great honor and principle. Soon you might begin to see the separation of true patriots from those who are only posing to be patriots. In a time of crisis, those who do not stand with their convictions in their hearts will shrink from conflict. But those who stand when they are needed the most will earn the respect and love of their countrymen.
Not long after starting his online campaign, he took real-world action as well, and would join the Oath Keepers, a far-right militia group who claim that their one true goal is to uphold the Constitution, and they encourage their members to disobey orders from the government if those orders encroach on the foundation of the Constitution. The Oath Keepers were founded in March of 2009, and Charles would join them on April 19th of 2009. Eventually, Charles would become more brazen and less focused on anonymity. Speaking
Who would think it? What do you mean?
publicly at Tea Party events on behalf of the Oath Keepers, the man would become a notable member of the group, becoming somewhat of a representative of the Marine branch within the militia, and was treated like a liaison of sorts to the military. Videos and Tea Party Oathkeeper gatherings would continue for July 4 Patriot, but beneath the activism, trouble was brewing. At some point in June of 2009, according to a report from Vice News, Dyer was arrested and charged with, quote, uttering disloyal statements, criminal libel, communicating a threat, and soliciting another to commit an offense. However, these charges were later dropped. Charles left the service after this incursion, and his vitriol towards the government grew further. In 2010, Charles was featured in a full Vice documentary that centered around the Oath Keepers. The doc ominously warned of a possibility of a looming Second Revolutionary War if folks like Charles had their way. Charles likely viewed himself a determined patriot, but looking in from the outside, his quest to correct the government's perceived wrongdoings was self-destructive. Not only that, the man had some monstrous tendencies that would soon be exposed. Foul deeds not even relating to his radical political ideals. Soon, Charles would become entangled in a multitude of accusations that went beyond the line of depravity. Accusations that would destroy his whole online career, put him in prison, and have him claiming that he was the target of a government conspiracy. On January 21st, 2010, in his home in Marlow, Oklahoma, Charles was arrested on charges of rape and forced sodomy on his 7-year-old daughter. While searching his home, the authorities found a 40mm grenade launcher along with several firearms. This caused the authorities to add on the extra charge of possession of an unregistered military weapon. When the news of this disturbing arrest reached the Oath Keepers, the group would begin to distance themselves from Charles, hoping to avoid bad publicity. And they would even write later that Charles was never actually associated with the organization. Charles's fans on YouTube theorized that their leader was being sabotaged by the government, and they also speculated that Charles may have been framed by a jilted ex-lover. Yes, some of his YouTube fans claim to have had proof that Charles's ex-wife was framing him for an abhorrent crime as a vengeful act, speculating that Charles had reportedly cheated on his now ex and this is what she was doing in return to get back at him. Whatever the case, during the legal processes, Charles would face 6 charges, including kidnapping and second-degree rape by instrumentation. Curiously, the first trial regarding these matters in January of 2010 would result in a mistrial. And this wouldn't even be the first mistrial that would result from this crime, as in April of 2011, during the second runback of this trial, the jury would deliberate from 8 hours and they came to a decision, but as they were returning, one of the jurors changed their mind, resulting in a hung jury. Keep in mind, Charles is out on bond, so he could just go back home when these trials would fail. After the second mistrial, Dyer would begin uploading videos to his YouTube channel, criticizing anyone he saw as against him, from judges to prosecutors to district attorneys and any other sort of governmental official, while also declaring his innocence and claiming to have done nothing wrong. He said that he had evidence that would lead to his vindication. Although Dyer's legal situation was still in jeopardy, he wasn't going down without a fight. In fact, his next action would worsen his circumstances more than you could possibly imagine. Dyer's next court date was set for August 15th of 2011, but the man had no intentions of attending. Rather, July 4 Patriot skipped court and went on the run from authorities, fleeing to Texas after his mobile home had mysteriously been burned to the ground. He was now an at-large criminal and considered dangerous. Authorities began a nationwide search as police suspected he was being aided by friends or old Oathkeeper buddies. It was thought that maybe these guys helped Dyer burn down the mobile home in an effort to destroy evidence of potential crimes. With a nationwide police manhunt in effect, it wouldn't be long before Dyer was spotted near a campground in Texas. Cops moved in for an arrest, but the Weasley alleged sex offender and self-described patriot was able to escape law enforcement by fleeing to the woods. Shortly after, while Dyer was on the run, his lawyer would receive a communication in the form of a letter, warning all who sought him out. His letter says, quote, "I have been pushed to the limits multiple times by law enforcement and the judicial system in an attempt to cause me to take violent action against them. If I do, I know I will be the monster they depict me as. Our judicial system is nothing more than a system of liars and crooks,
Hell yeah,
working under the
brother.
color of the law, where the rich go free and the poor are made to suffer injustice. Something must be done to expose it." A week later, on August 25, 2011, residents of Pecan Grove, Texas would notify the police of a strange man near a local daycare center. The sighting would result in officers being dispatched to investigate the unsettling silhouette. Turns out this marauding man was none other than Charles Dyer himself. While they didn't catch him at this daycare, Dyer was found later in the day at a nearby fast food joint. Police would arrest Dyer after he had just left a Sonic drive-thru. He had just finished drinking a cherry limeade.
Understandable.
Upon being arrested, officers noted that the man seemed exhausted and unkempt. It looked like he had been living in the woods for some time. He offered no resistance and told the officers that he was, quote, just done. Later, he would tell authorities that he had been hiding in a brush pile near a creek for 5 to 6 days. He had in his possession about $1,000 and a GPS device. Curiously, 2 of Dyer's militia associates were arrested around this time as well, on suspicion of arson, for police thought they had helped Charles burn down his mobile home, possibly aiding him in destroying some sort of evidence. One of the associates was reportedly Dyer's own girlfriend at the time. During Dyer's third trial in April of 2012, his ex-wife and alleged child victim would testify against him. And Dyer would later be found guilty of rape after the jury deliberated for just 3 hours. Charles, July 4 patriot, would be sentenced to serve 30 years in prison. The trial itself had been described as a circus of sorts due to some of Dyer's behavior during it and after the fact. Dyer would make it vocal on many occasions that he had conspiracy theories regarding the prosecutors, stating that they were colluding with the government, and he was adamant on vocalizing these political views whenever he saw an opportunity. While in prison, Charles would have an Indiegogo created on his behalf to raise funds for legal fees and expenses. He also explained what he saw as the truth of what actually happened to him. On Charles Dyer's Indiegogo, he was purposefully vague, detailing a narrative claiming that he became the target of a sting operation in which he fell for a tactical ploy that caused him to accept an illegal item in 2009. Charles says in January of 2010, his estranged wife had created a fake rape allegation against him, which allowed police into his home to search for DNA evidence against him. Charles would go on to say that they didn't find any evidence, but they did in fact find that grenade launcher. He then claims that agents gave him a choice, that he could reintegrate into the militia and act as a pawn for them, completing a list of objectives over the course of a couple of years, and everything would go away. Or he could face prison time. Charles claims he refused and the trial was the consequence. Needless to say, few were buying his Indiegogo story. Little sympathy from the public was ever given, as the Indiegogo was only able to raise about $106 out of the $10,000 goal. On April 6 of 2015, while Dyer was in prison, a video would be uploaded onto his channel, which told a summarized version of the convicted soldier's perspective. The video explained the reason Charles was behind bars was due to him going against the government. To this day, Charles Dyer still sits in prison serving his sentence, and his channel has remained inactive for some time. This next story honestly leaves me
I just talked about this.
dumbfounded. It's the case of a 19-year-old girl who uploaded a rather curious video to YouTube. A video in which she confesses to robbing a bank. Initially, viewers thought the upload was a prank of sorts, but further developments would suggest this confession was in fact legitimate. And her reason for perpetrating this robbery was mind-meltingly stupid. This is the story of Jelly Beanie, aka Hannah Sabata. On November 27th, 2012, 19-year-old Hannah Sabata of Stromsburg, Nebraska went on an adrenaline-induced crime spree that involved her stealing a vehicle and using it to rob a bank. Hannah would jack a Pontiac Grand Am, which she would then use to head on over to the Cornerstone branch in Waco, Nebraska, and would proceed to perform her own version of a heist, equipped with a gun, a pillowcase, a note, which likely requested immediate funds. Hannah would then be bestowed a small sum by the panic-stricken teller and left almost as quickly as she arrived. While the exact details of Hannah's getaway route are unclear, her stolen vehicle was later dropped off at Buckley Park in Stromsburg, Nebraska, and Hannah would make it back home thinking she had eluded law enforcement. At first, it seemed as if Hannah's bank robbery escapade was a complete success, but alas for this reckless young would-be GTA character, it wouldn't be long before a mission failure was on the horizon. So, what does one do when they aggressively swindle money out of a public bank? Well, if you watch heist movies, the characters usually keep a low profile and stay under the radar, but not Hannah Sabata. No, she didn't have any intentions of being secretive. In fact, the very next day, on November 28th, Hannah would upload a video on her YouTube channel, Jelly Beanie, titled Chick Bank Robber. A video in which you might imagine details some information about this robbery that she just committed. Now, the format of this piece of content is probably a bit nostalgic for some of you old heads that have been on YouTube for a while. I don't exactly know what this genre of
Hold on, real quick. I don't cheat. I don't know what
Uh,
you're talking about.
hey, buddy.
I don't cheat. You do.
So that's a shiny rainbow?
Yeah, I paid for I sold my chest break books because I've realized I'm not really using them anyway. So I bought corruption on both accounts, and then
How much corruption? Same
uh
price?
what was that?
How much is corruption? Like, what's the price difference?
Let me check how much corruption is. I
Like, what?
paid like 120 mil per. Yeah, it's still 100. Chest breakers 100. Uh, uh, Apparently the next best thing, even though I'm not doing it because of also good shit, Jafet. Reason I'm not gonna do it is because you can't hatch eggs if you do it, but if you have Void Breaker, you sit in the chest.
Mm.
But you, even though it might cost like 80 mil, you need to get a shiny rainbow. The
Yeah,
damage,
what? Oh, never mind.
the damage difference is
video was called, but back in the day, there would be these like
A
edgy
void
teenage
breaker.
girls.
I've never heard of that. What are you talking about?
it's that weird tentacle, black tentacle book. You probably have seen it.
Oh, I have two of them. Oh, no. Wait,
Where should you use it?
no, I don't.
Go to that tree house. I don't know if any. Speaking of tree house, you dirty. I haven't used that macro in a while, so I'm talking to you, Dell.
Oh, I was gonna say, do you know any?
What's wrong with it?
I don't know. I didn't get it to work right now, and I have like hold on.
I had like 5,000 keys. I sold all of them.
I
Oh,
had
sorry.
what?
Go ahead.
I had 75 mil of the crystal, and I got a rainbow Westie, and right now I have 900 of the secret, which is 56 mil, and I can't use them because the thing doesn't work.
You need to get us. You need to make this small character I made. Did I tell you what happened?
Yeah, I know.
What is it?
If anything, you're cheating. What the hell?
The only thing I'm using right now is just an auto click, which that's the smallest cheat in this game. I got.
I'm trying to get a bunch of tech chest keys as well.
Should be doing these chests or this chest and
Hold on, I'll look at your stream.
like look how many golden and look how many regular I got. Prison, that is. Like all this shit I got last night. Look at it.
What the hell?
Let me see. I'm just kidding.
That
It's a good amount.
Remember, can't see.
well because literally look at this with the rainbow shiny. Look how fast it's going now.
Yeah, you're melting it. What the hell?
Oh, speaking of which, let me go Yeah, send it to me. What does the rainbow swirl do? Oh, you got the gay dookie. That's all that means. Dog, my guild talking about if you don't get a rainbow shiny police dog, you're getting kicked from the guild.
Get him out of here.
Dog, that's literally how OP it. Oh, but what I was saying is, I sold the book and I bought Pet Mastery 99 just to be
Pet
able to
Mash. How you buy that? Pet
Pet
Mash.
Mastery 99
Yeah, what? How'd you do that?
books. What?
Pet Mastery 99 with what books? What the hell are you talking about?
Or not books, mastery.
Oh, how much was that?
like,
Okay.
like,
Okay. That little laugh just kind of.
like 2.5.
Okay.
I mean, look at if you look at my stream, look at my mastery. Like, look at how many I got. 99.
You still don't have your eggs to 99.
Yeah, but I got digging to 99.
You weirdo.
Dog, some dude in my stream
Mine's
talking about this,
55.
was talking about some guy was bragging about he get like 2 huges an hour digging. That's some bullshit. I got lied to.
Look.
See if I. Oh, what?
Have you ever gotten the huge pet from digging or no?
The what pet?
The huge pet. That's awesome.
From digging.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. It's bullshit. I wasted my money.
It's okay. It's
Inshallah, I get a shiny.
oh.
Easy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Easy. That's 80 mil.
Let's go to the void world. 80, man.
So it'd make these videos that were all
You were
black and
just
white, and they
creating
would
a
hold
randomized
up cards that had what they wanted to say
Oh,
written
literally
on
this.
I don't know if this was just a stylistic thing or if people just didn't have fucking mics back in the day, but some of you out there might remember this format. There were
Hold
a lot
on.
of viral videos that were
Yeah, your
taken
little
like this.
pet,
So yeah, this
like,
was
what
one of those
this?
kind of videos, but instead of it being about some emo shit, it was
the hell
detailing
is this
how
supposed
she
to
had
be?
just robbed the bank, as well as committed multiple other crimes as well.
Chat
As a song by
report.
Green Day plays in the background, Hannah reveals
You know, you can
to
send me
Oh,
80.
what the hell?
millions
Chandler,
of
Chandler.
viewers on YouTube while
What?
writing on poster board
What the
what
fuck?
her
Look at
day
this.
prior was like. In it, she disclosed that she had stolen
What
a
the
car, an ounce of weed,
Look what I just
an
got from
insane
the
clown
daycare.
posse-styled pipe, and a couple of pre-rolled joints
But
along with
I'm awesome as
in the
hell.
video, she
Where
even
that?
shows the keys
Okay,
to the
yeah,
car that
block.
she had stolen,
Alright,
all
appreciate
while
it, gang.
smiling
Hey,
and celebrating while
Wait
simultaneously
a
telling the
minute.
audience
what'd
that
you
the new
get?
vehicle was
You
shiny
got,
I got a
you
pet
and
got
from
she
the
had already
daycare.
taken off the license
Fuck
plates.
you.
They were never gonna catch her.
But that
Now,
boy
with
hella
immaculate
expensive. I'll
editorial
sell him
skill,
off.
as
Let's
one of
auction
the
him.
Green Day
Which
songs
one?
transitions
No.
to another Green
I
Day
think
track
you owe
called
me
Little
some
green
bread.
dude.
Hannah
Yo,
would then
chat, he
divulge
owed me
more
some bread,
details
right?
about the robbery itself.
Chat.
Basically
The
spilling
show,
out
he
her
owed me
entire
some
plan
money.
of action and how she pulled off the heist. She
Chat.
laid out how she...
Chat, you're not agreeing with this guy, are you? Chat.
Dale, wait, Jafet, you can't agree, or you, never mind. He's Hispanic. He going side with you. He's Jafet. He's a white Mexican. He don't know Spanish. He's a colonized Mexican.
I do know Spanish, or oh wait,
And,
that was still in English. Well.
you see what I mean?
Oh, whoops.
But
Yeah.
actually, no. He's a real Mexican because he says the N-word.
She did it step by
Hey, when I
step for
love
viewers
hard,
and
I
also
love
described
hard.
the contraband she
Well,
was
my white
equipped
ass
with.
almost
And
said.
to top it all off, she would go on to unsheath a large stack of cash from under her bedside, which was, of course, the prize for
I can't.
performing the fraudulent deed.
Uh,
The
That
showboating
always
woman
that always
flexes
gets
a
me.
total of what had been estimated to be
That's
$6,256.
already got all
Hannah
that.
continues her
Brute
would-be
mastery.
confession
Let's
video,
combine all of these
broadcasting
fruits.
the fact that she
I'm
told her
96
mother
now.
that, quote, today was the best day of my life. And Hannah would clarify clarify with text on
Oof,
screen
my
that
wet ass
her
almost
mom had
said.
simply thought that she had met a new boy and certainly didn't think that she had robbed the bank or committed any other felonies. Now, you may be asking yourself at this point, why would somebody do something like this and broadcast it to
I
the
think the
world
problem
via
back then
YouTube?
with the
Well, in the video, while Hannah is in the process of trying to find a pin to
Yo, you doing that and give hell no. Yeah, I'm doing a giveaway, but it's a reverse one. Y'all give me shit.
reverse giveaway, y'all donating to me.
Yeah, 'cause I'm so humble.
Stay humble.
Ain't got a huge yet. Damn. Sorry about your loss.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry
Yo,
about
oh my bad. I'll just shut the fuck up now.
that. He's dying to watch the video. Just play the damn video.
write with, she kind of answers that question. According to Hannah, this whole bank robbery bit was actually her way of protesting against the government. This revolutionary 19-year-old would-be felon would also claim to have been a victim of sorts. How, might you ask? Well, she claimed that in the past, one of her children were taken away from her by the state. Not exactly sure how bank robbery is a one-for-one trade for loss of custody, but whatever. Hannah elaborates more on this custody situation, claiming that the state had taken her child away at the hospital after it was born, as a result of her facing charges of neglect. The veracity of her claims are unclear, but regardless, near the end of the video, she would state, quote, "I may not be a mother anymore, but I can still find purpose." And that pretty much wraps up her video. The video
Don't you dare disrespect this woman who I don't know in this call. Somebody in my chat said, don't tell me that's Leah. Don't you dare disrespect this woman in this call.
I think Leah would have a manlier voice.
You would sound more special of needs.
Oh, you're
Leah.
actually streaming?
Yeah.
Wait, tell them I said hi. Hi, guys. We're famous. We're famous.
Hell no. Bunch of re-
You're well known now in the sped community.
Tells the president.
Okay.
Alright, bye.
video description says, "I just stole a car and robbed a bank. Now I'm rich. I can pay off my college finance."
Oh, by the way, Bonkulus, I now have 2 shiny rainbow dogs. Would you like to buy one? They go for 70 to 80 mil at the moment. Because I just got a 3rd one.
Financial aid, and tomorrow I'm going for a shopping spree. Bite me. I love Green Day. This young woman seemed confident on the surface that she had gotten away with everything, and it certainly appeared this way to viewers. However, deep down, she was worried. If you look at her YouTube activity in the hours following this upload, it's clear that she may have been worried about some legal issues. If you check her subscription box, one can find that she is subscribed to 3 channels: a random channel with 238 subscribers, Shane Dawson TV, and another channel that provides legal advice called Law Videos Inc. It's almost as if she expected that she may be behind bars soon. Now, as you might expect, this shopping spree that Hannah had planned would never come to fruition. Bank robberies don't go uninvestigated by police, and it didn't take long for them to find out that she was the culprit. This reckless woman would be arrested on the same day of the braggadocious YouTube upload. And to be clear, the video itself had not even gone viral at the time of her arrest. The woman was implicated for the crime after her ex-husband reportedly ratted her out. Hannah apparently had confided the details of this heist to the man and suggested that they could use the money to get tattoos together. When officers showed up to her home to arrest Hannah, they would find the license plates to that stolen vehicle in her bedroom. Authorities would also recover most of the cash. In fact, all of it was there except for about $30, so she didn't even spend much of it. After her arrest, Hannah's YouTube video would go viral and would be covered on many news platforms, including the Young Turks and Nancy Grace. In May of 2013, Hannah would plead guilty to robbery after the charge of theft was dismissed, and on June 17, 2013, Hannah Sabata would be sentenced to serve 10 to 20 years in a Nebraska correctional center for women. She would be eligible for parole after 5 years served. Yikes. Now, apparently Hannah was released early on parole in November of 2017, but her time out of jail didn't last long, as it would be revoked, and she went straight back to prison in November of 2018. Then in April of 2020, she allegedly assaulted a correctional officer, reportedly throwing hot water on him, and was charged with a Class 3A felony. She also has reportedly joined a class action lawsuit against the Nebraska Department of Correctional Services.
I got one
alleged
overnight.
violations
It's a
of her civil
rainbow
rights
one
and
on my
constitutional
alt
rights
account, but
based
that's
on
it.
perceived deficiencies in the Nebraska prison healthcare system. She's a piece of work, guys. In the time since Hannah's original upload, her video discussing her bank robbery has accrued over 2 million views. And although Sabata's actions have been somewhat forgotten over time, this thing will always be a peculiar piece of YouTube folklore that guys like me will dig up and bring back to the surface. But that was the story of the YouTube bank robber. Some YouTube comments under the video. In a world of stupid criminal stories, this chick has raised the bar unimaginably high and distinguished herself as a leader. I never knew someone could actually be that stupid. Pure comedy gold. I feel bad for your kid though. I hope they have a...
By the way, if you want to trade me your police dogs, I can put, since I'm pet or whatever it is, pet mastering 99. I could go combine them for you and see if I can get you a shiny.
a good upbringing. I hope you get your life together when you get out. I love that she put thought, time, and effort into making this video without at any point
Hell no, I
considering the
didn't.
consequences, even going as far as explaining her motives. The very best kind of idiot. Redditors say, it's literally one of the most astonishing displays of stupidity I've ever seen. I mean, she was clearly mental. This is way beyond just being dumb. Our next case details the story of a mostly forgotten yet remarkable YouTube video, Cops vs. Skateboarders. Uploaded to the site all the way back in 2007, this controversial video was one of the first instances of citizens publishing an unsavory interaction that they had with police to YouTube. While it's common to see these types of videos these days, Cops vs. Skateboarders was one of the first of these videos. And the nature of the interaction recorded not only resulted in skateboarders being sent to jail, but also a storm of online outrage being directed towards police. To begin the lost tale of Cops vs. Skateboarders, we must go all the way back to 2007. The date was June 21st. It's a skater
The scary
holiday.
ones? Let me see if I can find.
Isolation.
Come down and give your lover a kiss.
Social inexperience. Anger. Malice. And a sudden rise to popularity. This is the recipe for Alex Mahan, known as Yandere Dev. The moniker derived from his creation, Yandere Simulator, a game that, similar to Alexander, is incomplete. Per lengthy forum posts to his current day postings, he has never been able to find a lasting partner. What has fallen him instead has been a history that
Oh. Hold on. Oh. Send me the gold ones and send me the, damn. And send me the regular, like base ones. Do you have any of the regular ones? Do you have any of the regular ones, Bonkulus? Like base level? Because like I said, I only have to use 8 to upgrade them. Hello? Oh. You should have let me make them. Well, it's not even that. It's the fact that I can, what is it? You know, I could, alright, so we're gonna get 5 chances. Go. There we go, baby. Good shit. Now watch how fast it goes. Watch how fast this chest breaks now. Give me a second. Looking through my old, you know, we're gonna watch a Trap Lore Ross video.
Like the Bloods and Crips in Los Angeles, in Chicago.
No, you're good. Oh, okay. Hold on.
Chicago, the most famous street rivalry is between two infamous gangs, the Black Disciples on one side, and on the other, the Gangster Disciples. These historical crews have been at war for decades now, and in the modern day culture of the Chicago streets, stories of the members of these gangs and their lived experience in the violence that played out between them has been cemented in history throughout modern day Chicago drill music. Since the early 2010s, gang members and their affiliates have found fame and fortune by recording music that reflects the realities of the streets of Chicago. Chicago drill music has made many men into millionaires, but for others, it painted a target on their back that couldn't be escaped. Perhaps the most famous
I don't
modern-day
know,
street set from
but
Chicago is O-Block, which is also the
I've
unofficial
definitely
name of
gotten
the
really
infamous
lucky.
apartment complex that they hail from. Originally known as Parkway Gardens, this is historically referred to as the most dangerous block in America. This housing complex has historically been home to a modern-day iteration of the Black Disciple street gang, and O-Block itself has been made famous by the music of the likes of Chief Keef and King Von, the rappers that hailed from this historic housing development, as well as the O-Block Six, a group of members who infamously...
I would agree, Jafet, but this is the only valid British guy. Traplore Ross does research. Like, this video he did is 6 hours long.
murdered rival gangster disciple rap star FBG Duck in a brazen murder that was documented extensively on surveillance cameras, ultimately seeing all of those members being convicted in a federal court. The music and antics from the Black Disciples hailing from O-Block has put the area on the map and solidified the crew as one of the most famous gang-affiliated areas in Chicago history. But there's another group of gangsters turned rappers whose impact on drill music is undeniable. Team 600 are considered close friends of O-Block and just as often shouted out in their music. Whether it's Chief Keef, Lil Durk, or King Von, Team 600 are another group of Black Disciple rappers responsible for numerous classic drill anthems, as well as surviving members who over the years have appeared in extensive interviews all about living through the deadly gang wars that this group was famous for engaging in. But 600's impact on the city of Chicago goes far beyond songs and interviews. In the streets, 600 is a crew of dangerous Chicago shooters who waged war in the streets and were feared all over the city. Over the past decades, 600 has been embroiled in a bitter and deadly feud with numerous nearby rival gangs such as 051 Young Money, MOB, and Jaro City, as well as O-Block's biggest rivals, STL/EBT. 600 and O-Block, as well as Lil Durk's native hood Lamron, have many enemies in common. This ultimately created an alliance that would be as strong in the streets as it would be in the recording studios where hit drill songs were made. 600 has had an enormous impact on the legacy of Chicago drill music, for the better or for the worse. Originally starting with no more than a dozen members, over the years 600 managed to produce an incredible number of talented rappers, and was allegedly so dangerous in its prime that you literally had to be a killer just to be part of 600.
Did what they did, bro, but it wasn't all the time just on that, bro. Like, you just had to be ready to go. To be honest, them 600 was more ruthless than us, because it was a few from where we from that was actually in our age range that was trying to put in work. Them could be 600 if you really wouldn't know that.
But the story of 600 is arguably also one of the most tragic ones in the history of Chicago drill music, because at one point in time, this crew would have seemed to have had it all. An infamous reputation in the city, along with the most popular rappers and the most feared shooters, all counting themselves as members. However, unfortunately, for those members involved, the real-life gang war that 600 was portraying in their music would end up taking an enormous toll on the members, allowing just a lucky few to escape the streets of Chicago, achieving successful careers in music and in media, while the rest would unfortunately end up either dead or in prison, serving sentences so long that they will likely never see the streets again. So today, we're going to be telling the whole bloody story of 600, the killer rappers who terrorized Chicago.
Bad guys are on the loose.
Savages everywhere, all up the street, man. Savages.
Team 600 out here, right?
Yeah, let's get it.
That's
Team
what it
600.
is.
Police called it a gang war.
Due to some of the things that make Chicago an exciting place to live.
Gang violence has touched every neighborhood in Chicago.
Street gangs have been marking off turf in Chicago for years.
Hold on, what just happened? What happened?
Shots, man. You still hit them.
What's happening, man? Shot right, man.
We want to emphasize that you should use discretion. Some viewers may find certain scenes objectionable because of their violent nature.
You still here.
So we doing an interview and my playing 30s off?
30s off right now, man.
With City K. With City K.
Bang, bang.
Shot right? Squad type shit, man.
I already know.
Big B's, man. 600. Take 600, man.
Take 600 in this, man.
My name's Chandler, not Bandler.
D-Thing block, knowing how we rock. Fat slugs like they came in a milk duds box.
Shout out MOB, man. You already know, man. We in this man. Brick City, man. That's how it's done. Catch some pops on the drive. We gon' drop about like 10. Man, 600. They be flexing. The mob is in this field.
To be honest, them 600 was more ruthless than us.
I like a phone in the cuts. I like a phone, come up.
600, that's a 7 squad. You got the roof, you get robbed. L's up for Lil Rob. They took bro, I be gone.
Young famous make you famous. We ain't no rapper, bitch. We will put your ass. No fucking dude.
Gang, man. We still out here, man.
We is on the
It's cold, man. We out here. We out here winning.
We always say 600. Yeah, I kill people. Out here in the field, man. Out here on, you know what it is, man. Old block 600, man. Squad them over there. We out here.
600K, killing them boys.
Over the last 10 years of drill music, Chicago has gained a reputation as a dangerous city, infested with gangs with danger lurking on every street corner. If the music's to be believed, the city is a literal war zone, hence it earning the menacing nickname Chirac. However, gang culture in Chicago is nothing new. Despite drill music making it famous over the last 10 years, for decades, gangs have controlled the corners, projects, and neighborhoods all over the city. And the wars between these gangs vying for control of these areas have taken countless lives. The original gangs that formed in Chicago in the late 60s and 70s were passed down from generation to generation. And while the modern-day gangs of Chicago are less organized than their predecessors, the younger members always seem to pay homage to their ancestors. Drill music has popularized modern gangs in Chicago, like 600 as well as O-Block, Lamron, 300, and No Limit, just to name a few. But what all of these gangs have in common is that they're typically not larger than, say, a few dozen members, and their territories are no larger than just a few blocks, and their rival gangs are often no further than just 1 or 2 blocks away from them. And despite having a new identity formed around their native area, like O-Block for example, these new school gangs will often have ancestral connections to more historic and famous street gangs from back in the day, with O-Block generally being made up of members of Black Disciple heritage. No Limit, for example, is made up of members with OGs that repped the Black P Stone Nation.
Favorite part about
according to some
the name
estimates, there are
Lamron,
over 100 such
it's just
gangs
their
in the
street
Chicago
name
area, with an
backwards.
estimated combined
Street name
membership
is
of about 150,000 individuals, which means that over 5% of Chicagoans may actually belong to a gang, and the state of Illinois as a whole has the highest rate of gang membership per capita compared to any other state in America. These factors make the modern-day gang wars of Chicago seem incredibly chaotic and senseless. And ever since 2012, when Chief Keef first brought drill music to the world's attention, Chicago has been a city with the highest number of total homicides in America, as well as having the highest number of homicides per capita amongst the 20 largest cities in America. In fact, Chicago recorded more homicides than New York and Los Angeles combined in the years between 2016 and 2018. But while the violence has arguably always been a part of Chicago, the gangs weren't always this fractured. During the late 50s to the early 70s, several major African-American-based gangs were founded in Chicago, primarily in the south and west sides of the city, with these gangs standing out as some of the largest and most highly organized gangs in American history. These groups included names like the Black Souls, the Four Corner Hustlers, the New Breeds, and the Vice Lords, all of whom operated particularly on the west side of the city, and the Black Disciples, Gangster Disciples, Black P Stones, and Mickey Cobras, who were all primarily on the south side. Since the 1960s, the leaders of these gangs established their organizations as expansive, cross-neighborhood gangs and nations with hierarchical structures, meaning that back in the day, the local factions of these gangs all operated under the authority of a central leadership body, which held significant power in setting the gang's policies, maintaining discipline, promoting members, and overseeing conflicts with rival gangs. Originally, these gangs were born out of necessity and were actually aiming to empower the poor and marginalized black youths who found strength in their numbers. The members of the gangs were often commonly discriminated against in their broader communities, and these gangs were often groups of people that had turned to crimes, ultimately to sustain themselves where the system had left them behind. Particularly during the 60s, amid rising civil rights movements, many of these early gangs were also increasingly political and often had militant approaches in trying to improve the conditions for Chicago's black communities, with some of these early gangs even receiving government government grants to organize job trainings and other community programs. However, since the 70s, and particularly during the 80s and 90s, these organizations transformed from community groups to wide-reaching and well-organized corporate-style criminal organizations, with these big gangs specializing in large-scale drug trafficking and distribution operations. Now, this transformation of the gangs of Chicago over these decades was driven by several historical factors, but perhaps the most notable ones were the deindustrializations that had taken away hundreds of thousands of industrial jobs from Chicago's black and working class communities between the 70s and the 90s. This led to the so-called white flight, where many white Chicago residents moved away from the South and West Side neighborhoods between the 1950s and 1970s to suburbs on the outskirts of the city. This ultimately led to many of these gangs taking a grip of these predominantly black neighborhoods, with their control growing like never before. And this was further accelerated by the building of numerous extremely large public housing projects by the Chicago Housing Authority. Developments such as the Robert Taylor homes on the south side and the Cabrini Green homes in the north, these buildings provided the gangs with the perfect headquarters from where they could handle their operations, with many of them controlling them with an iron fist, even going as far as to commonly keep snipers on the roofs of these buildings to protect the operations from rival gangs and the police. And lastly, to make matters even worse, throughout the 1980s and 1990s, we would see the nationwide crack epidemic tearing through these black communities enabled by these well-organized gangs. Actually arrived in Chicago slightly later than other large cities in America, but when it did come, it eventually brought an influx of demand to illegal drug markets. This created enormous profits for these well-organized gangs, allowing them to expand and strengthen their operations. This also led to violence among the gangs of this time, with these gangs battling it out in War of the Streets to determine who would dominate these growing illegal drug markets. And this war was reflected in record-breaking homicide rates in Chicago between the 1970s and 1990s, which ultimately culminated to an all-time high in the early 90s of about 33 homicides per 100,000 people. At the time, it seemed that there was really no stopping these gangs as they grew and they spread out to many other Midwest and East Coast cities, infiltrating their black markets and spreading violence and devastation in their wake. But then something began happening at the turn of the millennium, and after decades of remarkable resilience, during the 2000s, these large and well-organized corporate-style gangs suddenly began breaking down incredibly quickly. Dr. Roberto Asfalm has actually studied the reasons behind this breakdown, listing three key developments. Firstly, while many of the gang leaders had been locked up in Illinois state prisons since the 1970s, this had arguably even strengthened their organizations, as gang representation in prisons actually allowed them the perfect environment for recruiting as well as forming contacts with other gangs, leading to large multi-gang alliances such as the Folk and People Nations. However, during the 1990s and 2000s, federal authorities began increasingly targeting these gangs, leading to numerous large-scale and high-profile indictments that sent top gang leaders to federal prisons where they had a much harder time maintaining the control of their organizations. This would cause a crisis of leadership amongst the gang members that were left in the streets. And to this day, two of the most infamous gang leaders, Larry Hoover of the Gangster Disciples and Jeff Fort of the Black Peace Stones, remain incarcerated, being held at the infamous ADX Florence Supermax prison under brutal conditions with minimal human contact. And this just goes to show you how serious the authorities were about making examples of the people who founded and led America's most infamous gangs. But it wasn't just locking up the leaders that led to the collapse of the well-organized gangs of Chicago. Secondly, in the year 2000, the Chicago Housing Authority began a project titled the Plan for Transformation. This plan called for the demolition of almost all of the large public housing projects in Chicago, which had served as the primary locations for the city's most profitable and strategically protected drug marketplaces. And by the end of the 2000s, almost all of these projects had been demolished and the former residents from them were completely displaced and spread out between various different neighborhoods. This disrupted the established gang territories and unsettled their long-standing order, as members of different gangs were now suddenly living in the same neighborhoods. These demolitions would also take down the so-called Randolph Towers, sometimes referred to as the Met Building, at 6217 South Calumet Avenue in 2006. These projects, which are still marked by an empty lot close to the modern-day Parkway Gardens, aka O Block. This building used to be a black disciple stronghold where many of the main characters in the story spent their early years, before their families dispersed to various different South Side neighborhoods. Now, this just goes to show you how the demolition of these project buildings in many ways was a symbolic demolition of the legacy of Chicago's gangs and their well-organized structures, as destroying these buildings pretty much destroyed the connection between many of the gang members and the leadership that were based there. This caused the young members to create completely new alliances that perhaps contradicted their former gang associations. But there would be another interesting factor that also changed Chicago's gang demographics. Lastly, the crack epidemic, which had provided increasing profits to the gangs and escalated their rivalries, largely ended.
That used to be my favorite picture. It was a picture of Chief Keef and a firework next to it, and him saying "bang,"
other less harmful
and there's
less
two
profitable
fireworks.
substances
Bang bang.
like Moreover, the large open-air drug markets that the gangs had been operating in their neighborhoods became increasingly unnecessary, as cell phones and the internet provided new technological ways for people to purchase drugs more easily and covertly, which in turn provided new opportunities for more small-scale suburban drug dealers,
Dang.
which actually took away drug
Lazy ass,
revenues
you ain't
from the
doing
largely
push-ups,
organized
no.
gangs that historically sold dope in poorer neighborhoods. Whilst open-air drug markets have to an extent survived on the west side of Chicago, they largely disappeared on the south side, creating a major hole in the profits of most of the gangs operating in these areas. And in the midst of the dwindling drug profits, fractured gang territories, and a leadership crisis, the younger gang members began to question the established systems and methods of their respective organizations, as well as their own roles within these hierarchies, as these young foot soldiers would be faced with the constant threat of arrest and physical harm in the streets, where they were risking their lives selling drugs and engaging in the escalating gang conflicts. The leaders of these gangs, who were often situated in secure suburban locations or distant state penitentiaries, often assumed relatively small risks in overseeing these new operations, with the kingpins still receiving the majority of the profits but taking very little of the risk. Collectively, these developments laid the foundations for uprisings within the gangs, which eventually shattered their organizational structures during the 2000s before drill music had even emerged. This was followed by individual gang members or small groups increasingly focusing on other ways to make money, such as robbery. This led to the start of what some people have called the stick-up era of the 2000s, which was perhaps most famously exemplified by a violent group of GDs, BDs, and other historic Chicago gang members who joined together
Why
under
are
the
you
name
so
the
racist?
Hobos, a testament to their lifestyle of simply sleeping and robbing. The Hobos cared more about simply taking from people than which historic gangs their members had a heritage in. But while the Hobos and other stick-up crews undoubtedly caused much fear and violence in the aftermath of Chicago's fractured gangland, overall the 2000s saw a significant downturn in Chicago's murder rate, and this was giving the city much needed hope that things were beginning to turn better. But unfortunately, this would turn out just to be the calm before another storm, which would eventually raise violence again to the levels of the mid-90s. But unlike the 90s, when gang wars revolved around
Why would
strategic
you
issues
want
like
black
control over
men?
drug markets
Why
or
would
disputes over
just black
territory,
men
the
just
motives
go to
behind the
prison?
modern-day gang conflicts seem much harder to pinpoint, with serious beef seemingly based on tit-for-tat revenge killings that played out over the years. The many murders and get-backs between these new generations of gangs have left generational traumas and grudges, creating a cycle of violence that seems impossible to stop, leaving gangs motivated to kill purely for revenge rather than being motivated by money like they were back in the day. And this is further exacerbated by the fact that there's now an astonishing number of small gang sets that live incredibly close to each other, commonly lacking any sort of real leadership structure that usually would assert control over the violence in the streets. This means that any interpersonal conflict between two members of different gang sets can at any point flame up into a full-blown war due to the ill-considered actions of just one or two people. Such conflicts have become increasingly likely in the age of social media that gang members commonly use to diss each other, not to mention the music, where the taunting of rival gang sets and their murdered members often takes particularly aggressive and disrespectful forms. In the 2010s, Chicago drill music would emerge, and drill music would not only give listeners
They
a
have
window into the
commissary
criminal underworld of
by
Chicago for the first time ever, but it would also give those members involved in the gang wars a megaphone to broadcast boastful accounts of their activities in the streets, with the songs constantly including insulting disses towards their opposition and murdered rivals. Now, whether or not you believe the music itself is fueling the gang wars, there's no denying that for those living in the gang-infested streets of Chicago, the music has become a notice board for local gangs to claim responsibility for the brazen murders that they've committed, taunting their ops in front of an audience of thousands, sometimes millions. This is the environment where the young members of 600 grew up and eventually made their names, both in the streets and in the city's newly booming music scene. And in the years that would follow, members of the newly formed street gang 600 would become infamous in the streets of Chicago, not just for the deadly violence they carried out in the streets, but also the brazen music they made, bragging about it for the whole world to hear.
How the fuck didn't my... Whatever, man. Awesome, man. Dog, what do you mean now I'm cheap? Already cheap. Oh.
600's hood is located in the southwest corner of Washington Park and is part of the Washington Park neighborhood. More specifically, they roughly claim the area between 59th and 61st Street and between King Drive and Indiana Avenue, with some of their main hangouts having been around the corners of 60th and King Drive, 60th and Indiana, and 59th and Calumet Avenue. The name 600 derives from a few things, the main one being that the numbered streets in Chicago's south side are often used by gang sets to represent themselves by adding a 0 in front or at the end of the number. 600's main street is the 60th Street, with members referring to themselves as 600 or 060.
That's what it is. Now, when you say 600, what that exactly stand for, man?
600, like, you know what I'm saying? The 600 is a block I'm from, you know? You know what I'm saying? 60, man, 060, 600, rear range, you know what I'm saying? 600, man, you know, it's just 600, 600.
However, the name can also be seen to have other associations.
Who decided, like, all right, we're gonna call it 600? So I ain't even gonna be fake. How I know it, bro, like, the day that I seen E-Day first said the word 600 out his mouth, folks in the Rondo, the whole sick folk, Mimo, I think Mimo was with them. Yeah, it was bro, they was walking, coming from Prairie, and it looked like it was about 100 of they little ass, bro, on folks and them. So we like, who the that? Then I started seeing faces of the big guys, like Mimo age. So that's for that. He didn't get that. Yeah, that's less 600. We 600 deep. We woo.
It's also worth mentioning that 600 has a close relationship with the Lamron set from Inglewood, which is about 1.5 miles southwest from their block. Lamron are best known for the famous rappers that hail from there, Lil Durk and Lil Reese. And Lamron is actually known to rep the number 300, with 3 being a significant number for Black Disciples, which both Lamron and 600 primarily are. The name 600 is quite literally 300 twice, as Chief Keef would rap in his 2013 song Nice, where he claimed affiliation with both Lamron and 600. That's also how 600 rapper E-Day would rep his hood in the infamous drill classic War. But before fans of drill music came to know 600 in the early 2010s, that neighborhood and the gang set that ran those streets was commonly known as Brick City, with the name actually being inspired by the brick-paved alleyways that can be seen in the area.
The bricks is the 59, you know what I'm saying? So it's like Brick City, if you came in our hood, it's like the alley is like bricks, like real bricks, not even like cement, bricks in our alley. So like, Funny was on some Brick City, and we was like the younger version of Brick City.
The back of our eyes, so you know how the old town roads used to be, bricks. Pavements. They they just changed it literally like a few months ago, bro. Our whole alley from 59th all the way to 58th was like that still, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's how they Brick City type. And then we got to give a props to our females started our for real. They used to walk block to block and beat the out of people, beat up and everything. Brick City, and now it's coming looking for us, and we don't even know what's going on. Like that's really start cracking in our. Then it was going on with us fighting, but yeah, we was Brick City, bro.
Now the members of Brick City were a mixture of GDs and BDs.
I'm in Bricked Up City.
For sets during the years following the demolition of the large project buildings that forced many gang members to move to new neighborhoods, which would place BDs and GDs side by side in the same streets.
Was Brick City originally GDs?
Originally GDs.
You don't get that white boy off that
GDs.
interview.
I say that because you can't say that because a lot of them come from 59, come from the 6217 building, Calumet, you know, from projects, and that was a BD building, so it was mixed.
It's like our neighborhood though. It's like one of the only neighborhoods in our area that's got more than one gang. Where I come from is GDs and BDs. We might got some stones over here.
Apparently the members of Brick City would often go and hang around the 61st Street where their hood borders with the hood of another set called Front Street, which at the time was actually known as Dipset, taking its name from the legendary 2000s rap group from New York called Dipset or the Diplomats.
Back then, before all this 600 got made, it was just everybody hanging on Front Street for real, like what used to be called Dipset. It was all us running through that, and then we all made our own ways to hoods that's right next to each other.
Front Street, aka Dipset, is perhaps best known for the drill legend Fredo Santana, who was also a close associate of 600.
TV, man, this Dipset, 51st year.
R.I.P. What up, Bobber?
Original Santana from Chicago, you feel me?
In fact, Fredo Santana's artist name was also inspired by the rapper Joel Santana from Dipset, who also inspired Fredo's habit of rocking bandanas, with him sometimes even being referred to by the nickname of Bandana. Now, Brick City and later 600 was also seemingly close with the nearby Black Disciple gang set O-Block from the nearby Parkway Gardens projects, which is less than a mile from 600's hood. Now, court documents from the murder trial of FBG Duck would actually reveal that the affiliation between O-Block and Brick City, or 600 as it was somewhat prematurely labelled in court documents, might actually go back as far as 2007. At the time, O-Block was still known as Wick City, WIC, meaning wild, insane, and crazy.
I mean, for the time being, I guess. I mean, I don't know, wasn't having fun playing Skyblock at that moment. If I decide, like, hey, I want to play Skyblock again, I will. But right now, it ain't even something I want to play. So.
With the letter I multiplied 3 times to highlight their identity as Black Disciples. Now, this old poster from around 2011 would actually showcase the alliance between Brick City and Wick City, with it including many names of Brick City members who would later form 600. This includes guys like E-Day, C-Day, Domo, Lil Boo, Booker, Inky D, Manny, Davon, who would later become known as D-Thang, as well as Stello and Young F, aka Young Famous. The poster also mentions Keef, as in Chief Keef, who was indeed seemingly close with Brick City members even before 600 was formed. And this can even be heard in his 2010 song, My Partner Dem, where a young Chief Keef actually shouts out numerous sets that he was affiliated with, including Brick City. In an old video, Chief Keef can even be seen filming himself while walking in the streets with Brick City members rolling through their hood. Now, this poster also mentions a group called the Bezel Boys. This was a rap crew from Brick City who were actually the precursors to the numerous rappers that 600 would eventually produce, with this group being made up of Young Famous, Huncho Hudo, and Chief Rio, who would all later go on to rep 600. Now, unfortunately, most of their old songs and music videos have seemingly been scraped from the internet, except some of their really early collaborations with Chief Keef. But even before the Bezel Boys were seemingly officially formed, they and other Brick City members were already repping their set in songs, like in this 2009 Soulja Boy's Turn My Swag On remix by Young Famous, Huncho Hudo, and E-Day. But Brick City seemingly also had many enemies. In fact, before Lil Durk and Lamron would become close with members from 600, Lamron was seemingly having a beef with Brick City, as Lil Durk would diss them on his 2009 song R.I.P. Mo. In another example of Brick City's beefs, at the beginning of one of the early music videos of rapper FBG Duck, who repped the set STL, and are allied with another crew called EBT, with their combined name STL EBT standing for St. Lawrence and Eberhard Avenues, that run along 63rd near O-Block. On this song, Duck and his friends can be heard dissing Brick City whilst repping another set from the area called MOB, who have had a long-standing beef with Brick City.
Like I said, I like that cookie. I like the cookie clicker update, but
Brick City, man. That's almost Bricks, man. Shout out MOB. Crazy, man. Shout out to
Also in 2011, a classic piece of drill culture was recorded when members of STL EBT, together with members of other sets like Jaro City, another nearby gang who have also had a long-standing beef with Brick City and 600, would film themselves mobbing through the neighborhood.
There we go. We out here, man. We out here, Stu. L's up, man. We die here, man. We die while we do all that, man. Big L's. Big L's, man. Rock, what it do, Stu? You already know what the it is, man. We out here. Pulling them out here, man. Hey, DJ!
During this video, they would actually spot a cop car, and the person filming would shout out the Chicago PD for killing Chief Keef.
Shout out CPD, man. They killed Chief Keef.
Because this vlog was actually filmed at a time when a rumor was going around that Chief Keef had actually been killed in an armed altercation with the police, with that rumor actually inspiring his later mixtape title, Back from the Dead. Later in this video, the gang would actually run into another police patrol who actually diss their ops over the megaphone, shouting F Brick City, which causes the young gang members to go crazy.
CPDK, man.
Now this video goes to show you just how deeply invested the local police are in the local gang politics. Eventually, coming into the 2010s, they begun to...
What keeps happening, man?
also be other gangs that youth from the area would begin to rep. The younger guys from Brick City's hood would begin to create their own little cliques around middle school age, and one such clique would seemingly be called Bang City, using the same BC initials as Brick City. The guys from the area would also use the initials BCMG for Bang City Money Gang, and some of the older guys would even make and post music under the BCMG name around 2010, with Tay 600 suggesting that they could have been going as early as 2009. But in the early 2010s, there was also another, much more serious set that began forming in the neighborhood, 600. As early member Tay 600 would tell the story, 600 actually got started due to some of the youngsters not feeling respected by the Brick City's older members, making them want to be their own bosses. Particularly one of them, who had older brothers in Brick City, would turn out to have the experience and leadership qualities needed to form his own set in the streets. That young man was Dev.
I think I'm gonna have to switch lobbies because lobby keeps fucking up. So give me a second. What the fuck is wrong with that? Server sending one person this one. Oh.
Devon, aka D-Thang.
It came to a point where, you know, D-Thang was really on his, he was out here, you know what I'm saying? And he really couldn't be Brick City like his big brothers really was, you know what I'm saying? Because he really was young, you know what I'm saying? Like, folks getting that, man, he out here, you know what I'm saying? He like, all right, okay. Folks really came out and started trying to put his own shit together, folks. D-Thang used to be a who, like I said, he led by example. Like, that's what I fell in love with about D-Thang, man. I feel like he was never a who would steer his in the wrong way. He'd never, like, try to tell you to do nothing that he wouldn't do.
I'm gonna restart my computer.
And that's
be right back.
everybody